The locksmith slid the last brass cylinder into place, tested the front door, and handed me 4 new keys. Behind me, my brother's keys scraped uselessly in the old lock while his wife stood on the porch with 2 crying children and 3 suitcases. "Open the door, Evan," he said. The neighbors were watching, his rental truck was running, and our mother kept calling me. Why had he risked his family's shelter over a vacation house? I had found the hidden document, and he had badly underestimated how far I would go to protect what was mine. 3 months earlier, I still thought my older brother, Ryan, understood me better than anyone. My name is Evan Mercer. I was 38 and worked as a civil engineer in Columbus, Ohio. I was practical, quiet, and far better at solving other people's problems than confronting them. Ryan was 41, married to Leah, and had 2 children, Sophie and Caleb. Every Sunday, Ryan called while making pancakes. I heard the kids arguing over blueberries while he teased me for measuring coffee grounds with a kitchen scale. That ordinary routine made me trust him. 5 years earlier, after our father died, I bought a small vacation house near Lake Cumberland in Kentucky. It had 3 bedrooms, a screened porch, and a dock that leaned left. Dad had taken us fishing there as boys, and I wanted to preserve some of that feeling. The deed and mortgage were in my name. I paid the down payment and spent 2 years repairing the house on weekends. Ryan helped replace deck boards and fix the boat lift, so I gave him a spare key. He could use the place with his family if he checked dates first, covered extra utilities, and cleaned up. It was never a lease. I didn't put the arrangement in writing because boundaries felt insulting between brothers. That was my weakness. Ryan's finances had always been unstable. He sold commercial roofing systems and earned well during strong months, but spent as if every month would be strong. Over the years, I covered a $2,400 car repair, a mortgage payment, Sophie's dental bill, and smaller emergencies. "I'll square up when things settle," he always said. They never settled, and I never pushed. Our family had developed an unspoken rule. Ryan had children, so Ryan needed more. Because I was single and stable, I was expected to provide it. The first warning came in late March. Ryan asked whether the lake house was free for a couple of weeks in May. His company was restructuring, he said, and he wanted the kids away from the stress. 2 weeks is fine, I said. Send me the dates. Maybe 3. We're figuring things out. I asked whether something was wrong with their house. No, nothing dramatic. We just need breathing room. I should have pressed. Instead, I blocked May 6th through May 27th on the family calendar. A week later, Leah posted a picture of boxes stacked in their dining room with the caption, "Big changes, fresh start." Ryan claimed they were only decluttering. The answer bothered me, but I let it go. On April 28th, Mom hosted dinner for her 67th birthday. Ryan and Leah arrived late, and Sophie immediately started talking about her new lake school. She said she had chosen the bedroom with yellow curtains. I looked at Ryan. "What's a lake school?" He laughed too loudly. "Kids make things up." Leah stared at her plate. Then Mom said, "I think it's wonderful you're letting them stay as long as they need." The table went quiet. "How long do they need?" I asked. Ryan put down his fork. His company had eliminated his territory. Their mortgage was nearly 3 months behind, and they had listed their house for a short sale without telling me. The bank wanted them out by May 5th. I felt awful for them. Then Ryan said, "So we'll use the lake place until I get another position." "You asked for 2 weeks. I didn't know the timeline. You knew you were selling your house." Leah said, "We didn't want you to panic." "I'm not panicking. I'm asking how long." Ryan leaned back. "Probably through summer, maybe longer." I told him that wouldn't work. I used the house, rented it occasionally to coworkers, and had promised it to a friend in June. More importantly, it wasn't a permanent residence. "You've got a 3-bedroom house sitting empty," he said. "We've got 2 kids. That doesn't make it yours. No one said it was ours. You planned to move in without asking." Mom raised a hand. "Evan, they're in a crisis. I understand. I need an actual plan." Ryan gave a bitter laugh. "There it is, the spreadsheet speech." I asked what that meant. He looked directly at me. "You're not the family. You're the spare room." Leah whispered his name, but he kept going. I had no wife, no children, and no one depending on me. According to him, the lake house only had meaning because his kids used it. Otherwise, it was another asset I guarded. "You're the spare room." Mom stared at her napkin. Leah said Ryan was stressed. Ryan said he was only being honest. "Family helps family," he added. "You don't get to play generous when it's convenient, then slam the door when we need you." Are you apologizing? For what? Saying the obvious? That was the humiliation. He had secretly planned to take over my property, then described my place in the family as empty space waiting for someone important. I left before cake. I sat in my car with both hands on the steering wheel, unable to start the engine. Through the window, I watched dinner continue without me. Then I cried. The phrase kept looping, "You're the spare room." Ryan and I had buried our father together. I had stayed beside him during kidney surgery. He had supported me through a painful breakup. Had he always seen me as useful space instead of family? My phone buzzed. "I'm sorry dinner got heated," Ryan wrote. "We'll talk tomorrow when you're rational." Not when we were both calmer, when I was rational. The next morning, an email arrived from the Lake Community Association. The subject read, "Resident Registration Confirmation." Attached was a household occupancy form listing Ryan, Leah, Sophie, and Caleb as full-time residents beginning May 6th. Ryan had called himself the authorized family manager. Another attachment contained a letter supposedly granting him indefinite use of the property and authority over utilities, school enrollment, and maintenance. I had never seen it. Beneath my typed name was my electronic signature. 2 years earlier, I had emailed Ryan a signed PDF so he could collect a repaired boat trailer. He had lifted that signature and placed it on a new letter. My hands started shaking. I called Denise, the association manager, and told her the authorization was fraudulent. She asked for written revocation and proof of ownership. Then she mentioned that Ryan had requested a permanent gate code and asked whether he could build a storage shed. A storage shed. This wasn't an improvised response to losing his home. He had planned permanence. Denise added, he also asked whether home-based sales appointments were allowed. Ryan intended to use my house as a base for his next business. I sent Denise my deed and a statement confirming that no one had permission to establish residency. Then I called Marissa Cole, a Kentucky attorney recommended by a coworker. Marissa explained that because Ryan had a key and prior permission to visit, I had to revoke access carefully. Since he had not moved in, paid rent, or established tenancy, I could withdraw permission in writing and change the locks before occupancy. "Don't touch their belongings if they get inside," she said. "Don't threaten anyone. Keep the message simple." The family was due in 8 days. A contractor was replacing 2 windows on May 3rd, and the old keypad already needed replacement. Still, I didn't want to hide behind maintenance. I sent Ryan an email and certified letter. His permission was revoked because he had submitted false authorization documents and tried to establish residency without consent. He could not move belongings in, redirect mail, enroll the children using my address, or enter after May 2nd. I also offered to pay up to $1,500 directly toward a short-term rental if he found one by May 10th. It was help, but not surrender. Ryan called 14 times. I answered the 15th. "Are you out of your mind?" he shouted. "No, you're locking children out of an empty house. I'm preventing you from moving into my house under a fake letter." "It wasn't fake. You told me we could use the place for vacations. You're twisting words." "You copied my signature." He paused. "It was paperwork. The association wanted paperwork. You could have asked. You would have made it complicated." That ended my doubt. Consent wasn't something he forgot. It was something he considered inconvenient. "You told me I was the spare room," I said, "so I'm closing the room." He called me cruel and hung up. On May 2nd, the locksmith changed every exterior lock and reset the gate code. I installed a driveway camera and gave the window contractor a temporary code. The action felt less satisfying than I expected. Mostly I felt sick. The counterattack began that evening. Ryan posted online that a wealthy relative had offered his children shelter, then withdrawn it days before they became homeless. He said some people valued pride more than family. The post included Sophie holding a packed suitcase. An aunt called me heartless. A cousin said I was punishing children for their father's mistake. Mom left a voicemail asking me not to make her choose between her sons. Even Leah texted me. "You know Ryan acts impulsively. Please don't destroy the kid's stability over one document." One document. The next morning, Mom sent me a screenshot from a private family chat Ryan had not included me in. He wrote that I had promised the house after Dad died and was now rewriting history because control is all he has. 3 relatives responded with angry emojis. One said I had always been jealous of Ryan's family. That accusation found the softest part of me. I had wanted marriage and children. My last serious relationship had ended partly because I kept dropping our plans whenever Ryan or Mom needed help. For a few minutes I wondered whether my refusal was resentment disguised as principle. I almost gave in. I pictured Sophie crying in a motel and Caleb asking why Uncle Evan refused to help. My boundary looked clean on paper and ugly in real life. I called Marissa and asked whether I was overreacting. "Maybe you're angry," she said. "That doesn't make the boundary wrong. What happens if they move in tomorrow?" I knew. Ryan would delay, Mom would plead, mail and school enrollment would make removal harder. I would still become the villain, only later. Then a message arrived from Marcus Hill, one of Ryan's former co-workers. "I don't want to get involved," he wrote, "but ask Ryan about the investor deck." Marcus told me Ryan had been pitching a small roofing consultancy. 2 weeks earlier, he showed potential partners slides describing a company retreat and client demonstration property near Lake Cumberland. My property. The presentation called it Mercer Lakehouse Operations Base. It listed sleeping capacity, dock access, future storage, and sales training weekends beginning in July. "Did he say I approved it?" I asked. "He said it was a family asset and you handled the paperwork." Marcus forwarded the deck. The file metadata showed Ryan created it on March 19th, 11 days before asking for a couple of weeks. The takeover plan came before the emergency. The next morning, I stopped arguing and started documenting. I saved the fake letter, association emails, investor deck, social media post, and texts calling the stay temporary. I also reviewed 5 years of transfers. I had given Ryan and Leah $8,760. They had repaid $600. I wasn't planning to sue. Most of the money had been help, not formal loans. But the total destroyed Ryan's claim that I only acted generous when convenient. The lake house also cost me $2,186 monthly between mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities, and maintenance. Canceling June bookings would cost $3,400, while business meetings could violate my insurance coverage. My empty house was not empty money. There was also a practical deadline. My insurer required notice before any full-time occupancy or business use. If Ryan moved in and hosted clients without disclosure, a property claim could be challenged. I emailed my agent, who confirmed the current policy covered personal vacation use and limited guest stays, not permanent residence or commercial training. That answer mattered because it removed the last comforting lie. Letting Ryan in temporarily was not a harmless favor I could reverse whenever I wanted. It exposed me to costs, coverage problems, and a fight over when temporary ended. I sent the documents to Mom. She called 10 minutes later. "I didn't know about the business." "Neither did I. He told me you promised the whole summer." "I promised 2 weeks, maybe 3, before I knew they were losing their house." Mom was quiet. "Did you ever let him use your signature?" "No." She exhaled. Then he was wrong. She still wanted me to let them stay, but her certainty had cracked. Ryan arrived at the lake house on May 6th anyway. The camera alerted me at 2:17 p.m. I was nearby because the contractor was finishing that afternoon. Ryan's rental truck entered the driveway, followed by Leah's SUV. Marissa stayed on speaker while I drove over. She told me to remain outside and call the sheriff's non-emergency line only if Ryan forced entry or refused to leave. When I arrived, Ryan was grinding his old key into the lock. Leah stood beside the kids, with boxes packed behind them. "Open the door, Evan." "No. You received written notice. We have nowhere else to go." "I offered money for a rental. You offered charity with conditions. You used a fake signature." He stepped closer. "You're doing this in front of my children?" I looked at Sophie and Caleb. That was the hardest moment. "The adults created this," I told them. "Not you. I'm sorry you're here for it." Ryan turned toward the watching neighbors. "See?" he said loudly. "He cares more about being right than whether his niece and nephew have beds." Then Leah said, "Ryan, stop." She looked at me. "Is the rental offer still available?" "Yes. 1 month, paid directly, up to $1,500. "We're not taking his pity," Ryan snapped. "The kids need somewhere tonight," Leah replied. That was the first visible fracture between them. Ryan called Mom on speaker. He told her I had locked them out. She said she was driving down, then told him not to touch the door. He looked stunned. Ryan eventually moved the truck to a roadside lot and took his family to an extended stay hotel. I paid the first 30 days directly. That evening, Leah sent a picture of the kids asleep in separate beds and wrote, "They're safe, thank you." Ryan sent another message 5 minutes later. "Enjoy your victory." It didn't feel like one. I sat alone on the screen porch, listening to the contractor pack his tools, and wondered whether I had protected my home at the cost of every future holiday. Then the driveway camera showed something strange. Ryan had returned after dark without Leah. He photographed the doors, windows, gate keypad, and posted notice before leaving. I forwarded the footage to Marissa. She advised me not to confront him, only preserve it. Whatever Ryan planned next, he was still treating my boundary like a problem to defeat. For 2 days, he kept telling relatives I had made his children homeless. Then Marcus posted in our family group chat. Ryan showed me plans to use Evan's property for a business before he called this an emergency. Evan didn't ask me to say this. He attached the investor slide. My aunt stopped posting. My cousin texted. I didn't know that part. One uncle still thought I should have let them stay temporarily, but even he admitted the signature crossed a line. Ryan claimed Marcus was bitter, and the business plan was only an idea. Then he demanded a family meeting to clear the lies before this family breaks permanently. Marissa said I didn't have to attend. Leah's private message changed my mind. Please come, there are things I didn't know. At Mom's house that Sunday, Ryan had printed my certified letter and screenshots of my silence online. He built a case that I had acted without warning. He spoke first. He said he asked for help during the worst moment of his life, and I responded like a landlord. The authorization letter merely formalized access I had already given. The business deck was aspirational. Then he tapped the certified letter. 8 days, he said. That's what he gave my family. For a moment he had the room. Mom asked whether the locks could have waited until they found housing. Leah watched me carefully. Ryan leaned back, confident that the emotional picture was enough. I placed one sheet on the table. Basic fact: the deed is mine. There's no lease, rent, or promise of permanent housing. Ryan rolled his eyes. We know you own it. I placed the occupancy form beside it. This lists your family as full-time residents. You submitted it before I knew you were losing your house. He said the dates were estimates. I added the authorization letter. This carries my copied signature and gives you indefinite use. Mom picked it up. Her face tightened. Ryan said, you already gave me permission. For a vacation. You're obsessed with wording. No, consent depends on wording. Leah looked at the letter. You told me Evan signed this. He practically did, Ryan said. That's not what you told me. The balance shifted. I opened the investor deck to the slide naming my property as an operations base. You planned client meetings before you asked to stay. It was brainstorming. Marcus had provided one more item, a group chat screenshot. A possible partner had asked, owner confirmed for July sessions? Ryan answered, my brother won't block family. Once we're in, he'll complain, then adjust. I slid the screenshot across the table. Leah read it twice. Mom went completely silent. That's out of context, Ryan said. What context makes it better? Leah asked. He changed subjects. He said I resented his children, cared only about money, and was humiliating him. He accused Leah of turning against him. I refused to follow. We're not discussing whether I'm lonely, selfish, or successful. We're discussing the copied signature and your plan to move in before I could object. Ryan struck the table with his palm. You'd rather protect a vacation property than protect your family. I heard his phrase again. You're the spare room. For years I had acted like one. Emergency funds, extra labor, empty space expected to absorb whatever Ryan didn't want to carry. You were right about one thing, I said. I was the spare room. You kept putting your bills, panic, and plans in me. But a spare room still has a door, Ryan. You don't get to break in because you dislike the lock. No one spoke. Ryan looked at Mom, waiting for rescue. You need to apologize, she said. You're taking his side? I'm taking the side of the signature you stole. Then Leah stood and pulled out her phone. She showed us an email Ryan sent to a school district near the lake on April 12th. It said the family was relocating permanently to property owned by our extended family trust. There was no trust. Ryan had told Leah that Mom and I created one after Dad died. She believed the move was approved and I was only angry about timing. Why are you doing this here? Ryan asked her. Because you made me bring our children to a locked house. That ended the meeting. I gave Ryan my final boundary. He could not enter, use, advertise, register, or claim any interest in the lake property. The temporary housing payment would continue through June 5th for Leah and the children, paid directly. After that, I would provide no money without a written agreement. So you're cutting me off? No, I'm ending access you treated as ownership. He left without apologizing. Leah and the kids stayed at the hotel for 3 weeks, then moved into an apartment near her sister. Ryan found contract sales work, but the consultancy never launched. Without the lake house in the pitch, one potential partner withdrew and the other questioned his credibility. Ryan and Leah separated later that summer. The lake house didn't cause every problem in their marriage, but Leah said the forged letter forced her to see how often Ryan made decisions first and explained them later. Mom kept asking me to leave a path back. I told her the path required honesty, repayment where possible, and an apology without excuses. Ryan sent one message in September. "I'm sorry I used the signature. I was scared and trying to save my family." "I believe you were scared," I replied. "I don't accept what you did." He never answered. I changed more than the locks. Anyone using the lake house now gets written dates and a temporary code. I no longer pay emergencies automatically. I ask what the plan is, what the other person can contribute, and what happens next. At first that felt cold. Then it felt clear. I had misunderstood boundaries as proof that love was conditional. My real weakness wasn't generosity. It was using generosity to avoid uncomfortable conversations until resentment made them unavoidable. I still love my brother, but love doesn't turn my property into a family vote, and fear doesn't make a copied signature acceptable. Changing the locks didn't destroy our relationship. It exposed the relationship we already had. So, was I wrong for changing the locks when my brother tried to move his family into my vacation home, or should I have let them stay under a written move-out agreement? Share your judgment in the comments, and subscribe for more original stories.